Welcome to the Feist.
Everything you want to know about your favorite women's sports in one feisty hour.
With your feistiest friends.
I'm Kelly O'Mara.
And Sara Gross.
And today we're going to talk about whether female athletes need stunts and fashion shows, or if fashion shows and stunts need them. See, like, who needs
Good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But first, Sara, obviously this isn't a triathlon podcast, but we have to talk about triathlon because
well, there was the World Triathlon World Championships. So the final, we'll talk about it, but the final, which actually crowns the world champions.
My husband was even like, what distance is that? Okay, so it's the Olympic distance. It's what they race in the Olympics. It's like the non-Olympic years. They have world champions. And in World Triathlon, the world champion is whoever wins the whole series. Like they crown other sport, like mountain bike, which we talked about recently, has a world champion and then a series winner. But in triathlon, the world champion is the series winner.
Series winner. I don't know if that causes more confusion or not, or whether it makes the race more interesting or not.
Yeah, I think it causes confusion.
Yeah, making triathlon even harder to watch.
One of our podcast hosts, who is a former World Triathlon world champion, had to explain this to me, and I was like, oh. People don't know that. So they had the grand final, which is the final race of the series, which then crowns the world champion. Mm-hmm. But if you win the grand final, you're not technically the world champion unless you won the whole series.
Right. So in some ways, because we're going to talk about how this race went, but it can create an interesting dynamic. It's like, it would be like watching a CrossFit competition to me, which is, again, not maybe totally not the best example, but like where there's like points and things happening and different people win different events, right? And then in order to win overall, you end up with situations where someone has to win the event or come top 3 in the event, and then someone else has to finish below 9th place, and someone else has to, so you end up with this reshuffling interesting. So if you are a follower of the sport, it can be kind of an interesting dynamic that like shuffles out onto an interesting podium at the end.
But then I sent you a clip and was like, oh man, it was wild. And you looked at the clip and you were like, I don't understand why.
Because on the surface, what happened was there was a woman who was 4th in the world going into the finals, and she won them, which just feels like
not that exciting.
She had a really good race, and it was great.
All right, here's why it was crazy. You ready? All right, so Beth Potter and Cassandra Beaugrand are the last 2 world champions the last 2 years. They were tied for first going into the final. In order for one of them to not win, like it was going to be one or the other, they had to both basically do terrible, and somebody else had to do amazing because they were so far ahead and they were tied. Okay. Literally, I didn't even bother to do the math because I was like, sure, whatever.
Like one of them, they're not going to both crash and burn. Like somebody's going to come through. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was like everybody was going for it. And first, Cassandra like just stops on the run and DNFs ultimately. I guess it must have been hot. Who knows? And then Beth Potter, who is a former running Olympian, like she is the best runner in triathlon in the world probably, gets dropped on the run. Like they outrun her. And that's crazy.
Run her.
You're like...
So that clip that you sent me, which I was so happy to see Belinda Granger, who used to race with me in Ironman and such a good commentator, out like commentating, being like, what is happening when they're dropping Beth Potter, who is, like you said, like by far the best runner, known to be the best runner in the field. And the entire pack is just dropping her. Like, where did she go?
So, I mean, obviously people can all run fast, but you know what I'm saying. It's still a lot. And so Lisa Tersch, wildly ranked 4th in the world. I know it sounds not that big a deal, but she came out of nowhere to win the world title.
Out of nowhere and years of hard work to win the world title.
But the other thing about this, like, World Championship week is that they also have U23 championships, junior world champions. They have the age group amateur world championships. They have mixed relays, and then they have the para world championships, which is all of these are just a world championship race, not a series. So that's like all happening over the whole week. So it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah. And it was happening in Australia, which is for those who don't know, is a triathlon mad country. Right? Yes. Like it's one of these countries that really gets behind the triathlon. Like having this kind of multi-day festival there is the perfect location. I can imagine all the fans were out. It was probably very exciting.
Well, so the man who won was Australian. I think they went nuts for that. And then the woman who won the wheelchair race, Lauren Parker, who's won the Paralympics, this was her 5th world title, and she's Australian. And so I think they all went crazy for that too. So she's like a pretty big celebrity there. So the para races were pretty exciting because, she won the wheelchair race. Grace Norman, who's American, won her 6th world title in the there's different in the PS5, which is like below leg amputee type things.
Right. Okay.
And Grace is awesome. She won the Paralympics last year too. She also was the first like para-athlete to compete in like the regular, like regular is not the right word, but the non-para college championships.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So she's really cool. And then the other big winner in the para races was Susana Rodriguez from Spain, won the visually impaired. She won her 7th world title. And so if you know her, it's because she was on the cover of Time magazine for being a doctor during the pandemic. At the same time, she was training for the Tokyo Paralympics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's crazy. I think Barbie made like a special Barbie for her.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this so much. Okay, Kelly, have you ever watched a para triathlon race?
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So how fast they go on those tandems?
Yeah.
Like people can't quite understand. I think one time I was actually covering one of our Canadian Olympians, and I was like doing a story about her, and I went out in my car. This is like early days of Feisty. I went out in my car with my GoPro trying to take, and Ellen Pennock, who used to work with us, was a guide, right, for one of the athletes. And so she told us where they were training. I was going out to get some footage. It was impossible for me to almost keep up in the car. They were moving, they were hauling. It's hard for me to imagine even doing that because it's so scary to be on the back of a bike that's moving that quickly.
Yeah, I've had some friends guide, and they said it's absolutely terrifying because I think the visually impaired athletes have like learned to exist in a world where they can't see everything. But for the guide, sometimes they're like, "What the fuck? What is happening?"
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, it's so fast now that a lot of times they have to getting a fast enough guide is a challenge. So Susanna's guide was Sara, who is a pro athlete who has moved into, you're not allowed to be racing on the World Triathlon circuit, but you can be racing kind of draft legal or non-drafting, so you can't non-drafting long course like Ironman type stuff.
Right.
So that was her guide, and then Sara Praisala did that in the morning, was her guide, and then in the evening raced the 100-kilometer non-drafting pro race.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So okay,
Quite the day.
That's so interesting. Is there a way that they manage, like if someone's guide is a better athlete, like if someone's guide can push 300 watts or whatever on the bike, like how do you manage the fact that the actual biking ability of the guide could be a factor in the race? Do you know how they manage that?
Sure. I have no idea. I know, because there's a lot of rules around, you can't be running in front of them or swimming in front, you have to be side by side.
Yeah.
I believe their tandem bikes are designed to work that way, so that each person has to be pedaling.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's obviously a reason that people are looking for
good
really
guides.
Good guides.
Yeah. Good strong guides.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of crazy. It was just big. It was a big weekend for triathlon. Mm-hmm. They also have a massive meeting when they have these and they decide all this stuff for next year. And a friend of mine said he watched all 9 hours of the Congress. Yeah.
I'm kind of guessing who that friend is right now. That is a commitment.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a big week for triathlon. If you really, really want to get in the weeds, you do not. But it was
just avoid it.
Avoid it. But yeah, good for Lisa Tersch, because I think everybody had sort of written her off. Not written her off. I mean, she was 4th, like your point, but we'd all been like, oh, they're tied for 1st. And maybe the girl who's in 3rd, who's close behind and has had a really good year, I think nobody really looked past that. So good for her.
Good for her. Okay. And Kelly, we do have quite a bit of cycling this week, but I watched part of the Red Bull Rampage. I actually watched because honestly, the live broadcast takes 3 hours. That's a lot of one's day. So I watched some of the runs that had been edited together on YouTube.
Well, the runs are a minute and a half, so it's kind of you have to do a lot of waiting in between. And
that was what I didn't want to do.
Right.
I had things to do. But anyway, it was it's the first time I've actually watched it, and I watched it on YouTube. So if anyone wants to find it, I just searched it. But oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, no, we're going to include a link to the winning run in the show notes, because I feel like that's the takeaway is go and watch It is crazy.
And I know we talked about this last week, but now that I've actually gone and watched it, and they're like riding off a cliff.
Yeah.
You know, like just riding along off a cliff, and then off a cliff with a like full, what do you call it? Back flip.
Yeah.
On their bike. Wild.
Robin Gomes won again. She won last year in the inaugural one. It was a lot closer this year. And I will say, I watched a bunch of the runs last year, and I watched the runs this year, and they have gotten a lot. Like so one of the big things has been the women's free riding was slow to improve over the years, largely, I think, because they didn't have places to practice.
Didn't have the opportunity to ride.
Right. And they didn't have like places to develop those skills. There used to be like a women's only kind of competition that was more about like skill development, but it went away. And you can see even from last year, this year, how much it's like improved. Not that I could do. I crashed my mountain bike last week, like because it rained, and I forgot that after the rain it gets really bad.
Right.
And so
I was thinking about my recent mountain biking experience where my bestie's sister was like, we were just going to go for a little lake swim. I'm sure I told this story already.
Yeah.
And she was like, let's take the mountain bikes. Okay, we'll just go on this trail. It's easier. And next thing you know, like, Karen and I are off of our bikes walking. And she's like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. It's not faster. I can't even imagine. I'm just not a natural. Oh, yeah. It's hard to imagine. Like, just the way that I don't know. It's so impressive. It's just.
I mean, I don't think they start with the jumping off the cliff.
They don't just ride off a cliff get up one day and ride off a cliff.
They, develop it over time.
But it is one of those sports where you, like, if you've ever, like, I have had the experience of getting a little bit of air on your bike. Like, you're on a safe, you're, in my case, on a safe thing. And you think, if you have both the wheels off the ground, you think, I'm flying. And then you see the video later and you're like, you were an inch above the ground for like a half of a second. you know?
Like, amazing.
And you think, I'm flying, I'm amazing.
The way it works for people who don't know is they do spend like a week building and practicing their lines. So they develop all of the, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, features that they want to ride and jump. So you like build your own line all week. You practice it. You're out there with like shuffle, like, so you have a whole team with you. And then because of wind, it got delayed a day. So it's just a very long 9 days, I guess.
Yeah. And I was asking you before we started recording, like, how they judge, like, having now gone and watched these runs, like, how do they judge the runs? Like, is it on time? Is it
it's
on
not,
skills?
yeah. So it's not on time. It's like it's just a judged run on the skills and the tricks and all that. So there's like 4 criteria they look at, which some of it to me is like a little, right? Like 1 is line choice and difficulty. 2 is air time. 3 is tricks and style, right? And 4 is like fluidity and control. And you're like, those all just sound like how good you wrote it. You know what I mean? You're like, okay.
Right, but
sure.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you have to break down, because you can't just do how good you wrote it. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Done. You also
yeah.
get 2 runs. So.
Right.
So she Robin only won by a little bit. It was very close.
And then do your scores get combined, or is it your best run?
Yes. I believe it's an average. I would have to double check that, but I believe it's an average. So it was definitely, I mean, I think we can see that they deserved their own event.
Right. So
for a long time.
Oh yeah, the women should have had their own event forever, and we're going to watch our skills develop over the next few years, so that's exciting. The other thing is, on the YouTube that I watched, they had mic'd Robin Gomes.
Oh yeah.
And I was excited. So they said they had mic'd her at the beginning, and so I think in my brain I thought, oh, now I'm going to hear her like breathing and going wee or something as she's flipping off of crevices and stuff. But like actually she was silent most of the time, and I forgot that the mic was on. And then right as she's coming to the finish line near the end of the run, you just start hearing this shrill screaming. And I was kind of sitting on my couch like, what is that? And I realized it was just her, like, as she's coming into the finish chute.
You could hear her saying things to herself, like a little bit. She'd be like, oh, like stay in it, right? Like, or like control.
Oh, maybe
and
I just didn't like.
You just, yeah, you could. It wasn't clear that was her and not somebody, but that's what you could hear is her being like, come on, or like like little, and then focus it, which is funny because I was thinking about like maybe that's my problem. Maybe I should talk to myself when I mountain bike.
You must have some internal dialogue.
Yeah, but I don't like say it out loud. So that's why I was like,
Oh yeah.
maybe.
Then just learning to like figure out I definitely am very aware of my internal dialogue, like in CrossFit, when I'm like, no, you've got this.
Oh, you've got this.
You can do it. Only 3 more minutes.
After I crashed my mountain bike almost to the trailhead, I was like, I'm just gonna walk it the last 100 yards to the. And it was right by people's houses there, and I was pretty sure they could all see me out their back window. And I was like, this is great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one time, and we used to have this mountain biking group when I was in Scotland. This is like 20 years ago. And I was always like the last one on the descent to come. I was fine on the up, as you can imagine. And then like on the descent to come down, and my friends would always have to wait for me. And one day on the very last, like as we were exiting the trail, when I kind of like, you kind of get that feeling of we're back to the parking lot.
Right.
You kind of let go a little bit.
You're like, we're done.
I let go too much. And I went head first into a tree. Like right the last tree before the parking lot. Like it was right. People were loading their bikes into their cars. And it's just me screaming over my handlebars into a tree.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I feel
like
for you.
Mountain biking's great, guys. You should
Try
try it.
It's amazing. Highly recommend.
Super fun. Yeah. That actually happened to me once when I was gravel riding, and that was the other big racing this weekend was the gravel racing. Which I know somebody asked us when you spent a long time talking about this before, the difference between mountain biking and gravel. Still a little fuzzy, but Lifetime Grand Prix, which is like the series of largely gravel races, though they've had a mountain bike race in there, wrapped up. Sofia Villafane Gomez locked down the win, and I think this is her third Lifetime Grand Prix. Sorry, Gomez Villafane. I said that backwards. It's her third title. Mm-hmm. But, Sarah, they had to shorten it. They had to shorten the 100 mile to 50 miles because there's like this huge storm blowing in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I feel like gravel riders are pretty hardy.
Yeah. They don't shorten things for a little rainfall.
No.
Let's just say that. Yeah, it
like,
must have been serious.
It's a fire? That's fine. You just
ride through it.
Just ride through it. Yeah. But Sophia had it pretty much locked up. Like, this is the last race in the series, and she had it pretty much locked up going in, and so, I mean, she just had to kind of complete it. And I think it was sort of like, oh, maybe she's going to take it easy, and she did not.
She did not.
She
of course she didn't. What competitor goes out there and goes, well, it's fine. Let's phone it in.
Many competitors. We're like, well, so that was this weekend, and then track cycling world champs are also starting in Chile right now, which I guess we can talk about some more next week. But the paracycling track world champs just finished because they did the para and then the non-para. Mm-hmm. And I was like looking at it, and there's this crazy story with this woman, Claudia Credi, who is an Italian cyclist. She used to race for, I'm going to lose the team, but one of the pro women's cycling teams had a bad crash back in like 2017, and now races para and won 4 medals at the World Championships.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. That's a different skill set.
Track cycling? Yeah. And I think she had some like brain damage, and so it was just kind of like relearning a lot of things is what was really challenging. So
yeah.
I was like, good for her.
Wow. Yeah, that's
all right.
Cool.
To not be all about cycling, Sarah.
Yes, let's talk about Northern Super League.
Northern Super League.
Northern Super League are the first year of our Canadian Pro Women's Soccer League. We had 6 teams out there, and they've just finished their regular season games. So now I guess they crowned a champion of the
regular season.
Yeah,
the NWSL does that too. They call it like the Shield Cup, or
yeah.
I think NSL calls it like the Supporters Cup or something like that.
Yeah. So that went to the Toronto team. And then now I'm like fact checking myself.
No, I saw that. They call it like the Supporters Shield or some name like that. Anyway.
And so now the top 4 teams, I guess it was close for a little while between Calgary and Vancouver for the final of the 4 teams, but Vancouver Rise got through. So now we have Montreal Roses, Toronto, whose name I'm forgetting right now, and then Vancouver and Ottawa, who are in the final. And so the playoffs start on November 1st. And yeah, it's exciting.
NWSL playoffs start like a week or 2 after that, and I think most of the spots are locked down, but there's still like 1 or 2 left to just sort out. So Are you going to go to the playoff games?
They're in Toronto, so probably not.
Oh, I thought they were. Because I know you've gone to some of the Calgary games. So
Yeah, so let me see. I had gone to, yeah, but it's because maybe if there's one in Vancouver, I will update you.
Okay,
noted.
After you find out where the games are, you'll let me know.
After I do a little research.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Yeah, so those are wrapping. I was like, because I was putting together today kind of schedule for the end of the year, and there's like a lot of seasons that are wrapping up now.
Yeah.
Like obviously we just had WNBA playoffs, and then you have NWSL, Northern Super League. There's a lot of world championships, obviously, as we've been talking about, because we have the cycling, we have the track cycling, we had all variations of triathlon. Well, I guess there's one more variation. It's in 2 weeks. We had the running. Also, it's like, and then we're going to shift into the winter sports. So that is like the PWHL season starts, figure skating World Cup start, speed skating is this upcoming weekend, right? Like, we're shifting.
We're shifting. We're in the shift.
Because the other big one happening right now is the Cricket World Cup, obviously. Yes. I think we're going to talk more about that next week, because they are not yet in elimination rounds, because they still do like a pool play with all the 8 teams. So semifinals are next week, like the 30th and 31st, something like that. And then the finals are November 2nd or 1st. So
cool. For that big 13.8 million prize purse.
I mean, it's like one of these things like, I have watched cricket. It's really, really big in the rest of the world and not so big in America.
We need to find someone to come in.
Yeah, we're going to find a cricket expert.
Cricket education. Have you ever played cricket?
No. I was like, I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's even I'm sure there's someone to play cricket around here, and I just don't know where it is.
I haven't played an actual game of cricket, but having lived in the UK for so long, it's kind of, I've played like pickup cricket, if you will.
Pickup cricket?
Yes.
Okay, don't games last like this is the thing? Don't they last really, really long?
not like formal pickup cricket, just like somebody brings a bat to a park.
Okay.
And we divide into teams of whoever's there, and then I sort of learned how to like hold it and how to like protect the wicket and run when you're supposed to run. Good. And I found it wildly frustrating because when you learn something as an adult and you haven't learned the hand-eye coordination for it as a child,
sure, you're
like generally kind of crappy at it, right? So afterward, look at you. You're like looking at me like, well, some people are.
I'm like, well, Sarah, sorry.
We need to have a cricket duel. Anyway, then once the game was over, I was like, can we just for shits and giggles, hold this thing like a baseball bat and pitch to me, right? And all the guys I was playing with could not hit. If they held it like a baseball bat, but I could. So that was like my little redeeming moment.
You were like, oh, okay, I just didn't learn this as a kid. That's the problem.
Yes, exactly. So my cricket education could go a little deeper, for sure.
It is, I mean, yeah, obviously it's a huge sport. It is funny because the Women's World Cup, it's like Australia, New Zealand, England, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, which are all large countries.
Yes, it's a huge sport.
There's also clearly like a large portion of the globe that is missing. It's kind of like we talked about the flag football, right? And the big teams are like Canada, U.S., Mexico, and you're like, clearly there's a large portion that is missing in these. We are like divided in our sports. So, but yeah, the finals are November 2nd. Semifinals are like 2 days before that. Back to back. So we will talk about that more next week. The other big world championship this past weekend, Sarah. I feel like we're just on a world championship. It's like weightlifting.
It never ends. It's a constant treadmill of
constant world championships. Yeah. 24-hour running.
Right.
Is a real thing. I feel like I need to preface with that.
With the real world championship.
With the real world championship run by the IUA. It's some like acronym like
by an acronym.
Yeah. And so they run around a 1.5 mile loop.
Oh, I didn't know
hours.
that.
Yeah, because it has to be like regulated
for
and like measured.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
To see how far you can get, and countries send teams because then like the team score is added up, and so then teams can win it. There was a new world record. This woman from England, Sara Webster ran 278 kilometers, which is like 173 miles.
Yeah.
In 24 hours. So obviously you can stop in the 24 hours, but that's sort of up to you. You also have like tents on their little loop that you can like stop and get food at, right? There's rules around all this, like what you can and can't do.
The main thing is you have to eat.
Yeah. And sleep.
Some people sleep in 24 hours?
No. I mean, I don't think the best people do. So they do these around where I live too. Like and so obviously some people sleep, but like I don't think like the person setting a world record sleeps.
Right.
The video of her finishing is like she's like bent over at the waist.
Oh, yeah. We used to see that in Ironman a lot.
Yeah. So
that's a carbs issue, probably.
She broke the old world record by 8K, so it's not like it was small.
278 kilometers is an insanely long distance to run in one day. Yeah. Like, I just, again, much like the mountain biking, I cannot get my head, and even as an endurance athlete myself, I cannot get my head around that. These are
very popular around where I live. They're a big thing. So is mountain biking. And people have been trying to convince me to do them because there's one that goes on January 1st, like on New Year's Day, like get your day started right.
Yeah.
And they do like a 2-mile loop kind of by the Golden Gate Bridge in the Presidio. And you just do loops. Like you start it like on New Year's Eve. So you ring in the new year.
Yeah.
And you can either do like the 6-hour, 12-hour, or 24-hour.
Right.
And you just do loops under the bridge. Huh. It's crazy. So anyway, but the big, I don't know if controversy is the right word, but the reason this was like all over the running Twitters.
Okay, the running
this
Twitters.
weekend.
Yeah.
So the woman whose record Sara broke, Camille Herron, was supposed to race for the U.S. team. And she didn't. She withdrew. But it became this whole big controversy for her own, like, we'll get to that why, like, in a second. But there's this whole big controversy because apparently, like, the USA track and field officials are like, no, she has to officially withdraw in order for us to name an alternate. And the alternate was there and like ready to race, but they didn't have like this official confirmation. But then Camille put a statement out on social media. And she was like, well, I've been okay, so Camille has ADHD and like autism, like she's talked about this a lot, and she had been asking for like some accommodations to deal with like her for autism, to have like a space that was like designated kind of separate from all the, because you can imagine it gets really chaotic.
Yeah,
I'm not saying whether that, I'm just saying she says she had been talking to them for months about like making sure this was possible, and they never got into an agreement, and so she never signed the contract saying she would go. So she's like, why do you need me to withdraw? So I feel like there was obviously miscommunication here,
right? And didn't they need something like a verbal, like they needed her to verbally withdraw, which in the article I read, I was having trouble understanding even what that is. Like, was she supposed to call someone? Was she supposed to send a voice memo?
So that's why they're like, well, we've tried calling her, we've tried texting her, and I think from her perspective, she's like, well, I never, like we've been talking about this whole time.
I never said I was coming.
And you didn't meet I said I needed these things. You didn't apply. So why do I need to withdraw? Like, this is, but it was a whole big mess. And you can imagine the Let's Run internet forums are being, polite and and like considerate and really understanding.
Yes, I'm sure they are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it does seem like it was, part of me is like, this doesn't seem that complicated. And part of me is like, clearly there was confusion on all sides.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah. I did also see that there was a Canadian woman who broke the 50 to 54 age group record. Oh, yeah. And she ran 195 kilometers, which is still, it's not 278. No. But, oh man, that's far.
How far do you think you could run in 24 hours?
In 24 hours?
Like if you did the one by my house on New Year's Eve.
Do I get to... Is that an invitation? Do I get to train? Can you do it in a group? Can you do it as like a team?
I mean, I think that's something else.
Okay, that's a different race entirely. That's a race I would actually enjoy.
Yeah.
So how far do I get to train? Like, how long of a lead up do I get?
2 months.
2 months. Okay, I like that you just answered that like that. Oh man.
You're like, I don't know.
I don't know. Then you have to stop for food.
Part of me is like, I'm sure I could run 100 and something miles, 100 miles. I feel like, sure.
But with 2 months to train, I don't think I would be able to get I currently run 30 to 40 minutes twice a week. So the difference in volume there's a wide
difference.
Yeah.
Well, that was based on, the 2 months was based on, well, one, that's when New Year's Eve is. But two, that when I used to my logic was always, if you had a base level fitness, you needed like 3 months to get race ready. So yeah, you only need like 3 months if you have baseline fitness.
I think that
obviously it accepts a certain amount of baseline fitness.
It depends on, like, if I took my current fitness, we ran together a couple times in Hawaii. If I took my current fitness and you were like, you have 3 months and you're going to run a 5K, I would put a lot more on, like, I would do a decent time for my age in a 5K than on 24 hours of straight running.
Can I tell you? So I was actually still signed up for Ironman California, which happened yesterday when we were recording this. So this past Sunday. And so I got this email, being like, are you ready? Here's your check-in on like last week. And I thought about doing it, Sarah, because I was like, you know what? Because it's like a 45-minute, an hour drive from my house. And I was like, you know what? I'm sure I could finish it in the cutoffs. And then me and my husband sat here and we were like, well, I mean, let's say you take like 7.5 hours to walk the run. That gives you still like 10 hours to get the rest of it done. Yeah.
Yeah. Picturing you and Steve working through this is like making my day right now. I also love that, like, the drive, like the 45-minute drive is like somehow a factor, like not the 112-mile bike ride and full marathon.
But so I was like, I bet I could just do it. Like, why not? Like, let's see what happened. But then obviously what stopped me was, well, one, I crashed my mountain bike last week and I think I have a bruised rib. So that's not great. So that's partially, like, that's really what stopped me here, Sarah. No. And then the other problem was that obviously the reason I haven't been running and I didn't train for this and I ultimately didn't do it is because of the C-section. And so then I was like, well, every time I try to run further than, like, every time I don't build up very, very slowly, I end up getting like super, like, it hurts really badly. And so I feel like trying to tough my way through 26 miles would probably end up with like some permanent
The other
issues.
factor you have not talked about is like the actual, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Suffering of doing an Ironman that you've not prepared for. Like, actually
right. Well,
spending.
wouldn't you be curious though? So I was like, oh, I'm
Curiosity
curious.
would not get me through more than the swim. Like,
And then really it was the childcare. That's the other thing that took me in. I was like, well, I'd have to drive there, but then like Steve's gone. I'd have to come back.
The drive was easy. If they had childcare, you could have just gone out and done an Ironman this weekend.
Yeah, why not? Wouldn't you have been curious?
No. I'm not curious about how slow I can do an Ironman right now. That is not something that, like, I ponder in my brain and discuss with my partner.
Yeah, you're curious if you could do it without training for it. Anyway, I did not do it. Just so you know.
Wise decision.
Wise.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm not in any kind of shape where I wouldn't have done well. Like, who cares? But really, my goal would be ultimately to qualify for a world championship spot so I can turn it down on stage and tell them I'm turning it down because their system is stupid. So that would be that's my whole, there you go.
I don't know how to break this to you.
They don't care.
Well, you've told them before in many ways.
I know.
Also, the chances of you being on stage and getting a world championship spot.
Well, right now,
0.
in 17 hours, yeah.
Right.
But if I trained for 3 months, no,
okay.
I'm kidding.
3 to 9.
3
to
to
a
9.
year and a half.
Yeah. Anyway, it happened yesterday. We talked a lot last week, of course, about the whole disaster with Ironman's World Championship qualifying for women, and like no women are women just aren't getting through. One woman earned a spot next to 30 men, I think, yesterday here in California. So I've been hearing a lot from people who are like, "This is terrible," and I'm like, "You should tell Ironman. Don't tell me. I know it's terrible."
Yeah, we said
they
that
don't know it's
a
terrible.
long time ago. You've been saying that for a while. Yeah.
So I've been like, email them. That is my answer if you are upset. Email Ironman. Their emails are easy to find. You can ask me. So. All right, Sarah, but the other thing that was big news in women's sports this past week, well, so the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
Big news in women's sports.
The Victoria's Secret fashion show. One, it is back. It is fully back.
Okay.
And two, they had, so Angel Reese, the basketball player, became the first athlete to ever walk the show. And then they also had Suni Lee, the gymnast, but I think she went like later and had a smaller role. And so then obviously the question is sort of like, why? No, I mean, like, I saw one headline that was like, Victoria's Secret needed Angel Reese more than Angel Reese needs Victoria's Secret, which I think is true.
Yeah.
But then I feel like I was also getting fed last week a bunch of like Melissa Jefferson Wooden, the 100, 200 world champ, got paid like $100,000 by MrBeast, the shitty YouTuber, to race 100 men, right? And like, can she beat them? And then like the blurbs that they're trying to make you watch it are like, it was close. It wasn't close. Like,
No,
it wasn't close. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. All these things, like, and there's like, are they good or bad for female athletes, Sarah?
Oh,
like,
this is a hard one. Okay, where do we start? Okay. Okay, I think if we start with the Victoria's Secrets thing, right? Yeah. Like you and I have had this. We've had the debate about the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition, where I feel like we just sort of divided it up and debated two sides of something. But like I'm all here for women of whatever walk of life expressing their sexuality in whichever way they want, right? Or like, that's fine, right? I think, and even before, like, you sent a couple articles about it that I did read, and even before I read this article that kind of said this, I was thinking, this feels like a 2015,
sure,
like, let's try to include all body types and all races, and like, it just felt very weirdly dated for something that was like, it's back and it's new, and it's like, you're Victoria's Secret. It's like, you guys actually created the problem. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, so it's like a rebrand of a rebrand for Victoria's Secret. And to their defense, they got more headlines than they've gotten in a long time, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I have my talk radio in the morning on the drive was talking about it. Mm-hmm. Not just about the athlete part, but about like, they had this person, they had these celebrities, and they had this.
Yeah.
And they like, the first person out was one of the models who's super pregnant, and she walked pregnant, right?
So
they're like obviously trying to do this like rebrand.
Yeah, they had like a trans model, they had a plus size model, they had like, they just had more, I don't know, they had more diversity.
But to your point, I think it's sort of like one of those, there's some brands, products, things out there that you're like, did we need it to come back? Was that something that was like missing in our lives?
I was very happy for Victoria's Secret to die. Honestly, like
it's still around.
I know that it didn't fully die.
No, actually, that's not entirely accurate. The Victoria's Secrets at the mall got turned into a vaccine clinic during the pandemic.
Really? At your local mall? Yeah, I know that like they were shrinking though. That's probably a more accurate, and I was okay with that. I just feel like this is, I don't know, that I don't actually know that many people who actually wear those types of bras. Like, you know how I kind of grew up with like the underwire bras, the push-up bras, like a lot of like lingerie was kind of everywhere, right? And I just know so many people who now just wear sports bras all the time.
I have been sports bra all the time for like a decade, and I feel like I have gone on a like hashtag campaign. And people, they're like, I don't know, like, and then they come around and they realize it's way better.
And you were one of the first people to ever say to me like that you wear sports bras all the time.
Yes.
And probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, and now I think a lot of people are in that category, or there's more bras being designed by women for women. There's just the industry is evolving in a good way.
I think the sports bra like lifestyle line has also gotten super blurry, where it's like I have my cute sports bras I wear around for work, and then I have my sports bras I wear to work out in.
Yes,
and sometimes they overlap.
And then you also have the like whole, I don't know, like lingerie, what is sexy whole industry, which I'm not as plugged into as I am sports bras, but. I'm going to take a guess that has also evolved and diversified, and there's a lot like that. It's not like, it's not as like dependent on like the male. It's like not like the male gaze is, I don't know what you call it, driving that as much as it used to, right? Like I think there's more just diversity in that kind of industry too, of like what people wear during sexy time.
During sexy time.
Someone else can come and tell me if there's a diversification of what you wear during sexy
listener
time.
Comments. Send us a voicemail. Let us know about sexy time.
Yeah, so I do think all that is to say it's a fair question of like, did we need Victoria's Secret to come back? But it sounds like if people are talking about it, and even people like we're now talking about it, right, is kind of what they wanted.
Yeah, no, I think it was successful for them. Like, I think they're probably like, well, that worked. And I think Angel Reese was like a good pick because she has said in the past she wanted to walk a Victoria's, like she grew up wanting to walk a Victoria's Secret show.
Although I do feel like did just the way you said it and the way the article said it, like, did they put Suni Lee in a corner? Because like
Suni Lee, yeah, I mean,
feel like
maybe
she should have been more.
She should have been
like,
a bigger part of it. Well, there was kind of, I think, a part where they were like other celebrities and stuff, as opposed to like the actual models. And I think Angel Reese was kind of acting more as one of the models. And then there was, I don't know. I didn't watch all of it. I'm just saying
it might have been a personal choice on their part, right?
On their part. So like good for them. But then I was also. Every now and then, right, I get sent these, like, so-and-so man tries to outrun Olympic sprinter or so-and-so. And so this MrBeast one, and everyone's like, well, she won $100,000. And so I know why Melissa Jefferson Wooden took $100,000 to race, in quotations, 100 average men.
Great.
I don't know if that was, like you're like, cool? I don't know. Like, does that help her in any way? Does it get her name out there? Is it good for her? I mean,
it's interesting because I think overall, if you think of like the MrBeast fandom, right, and who they are, right, are there a percentage of them who actually believe that they can beat a professional runner at over the 100 meters? Yes, probably a bigger percentage than there should be. So do I think it's good for them to watch like 100 men literally get like destroyed by her?
The comments on it were all like, oh, ha ha. So it takes the best woman in the world to beat some average guys. And you're like, okay, guys.
Oh, yeah. I guess people are going to...
People are terrible.
Yeah.
But as by contrast, like Athlos, the women's track meet, they did that long jump in Times Square, right? And so before they had the pros come out, they had like average people could just try it, like men and women, I think. But then they made this little video that was like average guy tries the long jump compared to Tara Davis Woodall. And the way that it's like in how it's framed, right?
Yeah.
So they were 100%. Like, oh, you thought you could do this. You couldn't do this. Like, this is actually. So then the way they framed it really highlighted what you're saying, which is like people tend to think they could totally be an Olympian. There's some study, right, where it's like, oh, if I trained, I could be an Olympian. You like, right? They overwhelmingly think they could make the Olympics.
Yeah.
A stunning number of men think they could get a point on Serena Williams, right? Like, so the way they framed it was like, oh, this is actually really hard. Whereas then, like, the way the spectacle type stuff frames it is like, can she beat him? And you're like, yes.
Right.
Obviously she can beat him. What the fuck is this video?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I was not entirely, I don't know. I wasn't entirely pleased with the MrBeast framing of it. And I was also cringing in the same way. I was, but I also just see the positive side of it too, like where,
well, she got money.
Yeah, she got money. She did win. Although part of me was like, what if she didn't win?
I know, right? You'd be like, well, that's not good.
Yeah, even if it's just one guy.
Well, because 100 is, I feel like 100 meters is sort of a crapshoot, you know? Like sometimes you're like,
it's
I don't know.
Pretty short.
Pretty short.
And were they 100 random guys, or like was there potentially like a college track star in there?
Right.
You know?
Somebody could. You're like, I will tell you, I was at the high school track one time, and it must have been like end of the school year, kind of because they're, the kids are half checked out, and I was running. I'm no longer allowed to run. Well, whatever. I've gotten chased out of the high school, but I was running repeats on the track at the time.
What were you doing when you?
No, they've gotten really like
go back.
They've gotten really stressed about security.
Okay.
They're like, you can't be here, and I'm like, it's an open track, like next to the high
I've
school.
been kicked out of high school tracks before too.
They also have
Arizona.
like one of those really weird schedules where it's like on B days, fall on Wednesday, we end it, and you're like, how the fuck am I supposed to remember? And they always act like it's like, well, obviously you should know. It's in Appendix C on our website under calendar logistics, and I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, so we've had some arguments, but a couple years ago before this, I was running and I didn't realize they weren't done for the year yet, and so this like gym class comes out, and I was like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't. And the gym teacher is like an old guy. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Like, keep doing your whatever I was doing like 400 or something. And then he starts lecturing the kids about like, hard work ethic and hard work and blah, blah, blah. And half those high school kids were like, oh, I could run under 10 seconds in the 100. And because it was the end of the year, he was like, okay, show me. So he like lined up these like 10 high school boys.
Yes.
And I was like, go ahead, run 10 seconds. All of them made it like 20. They all started out really fast. They made it like 20 or 30 meters in and then like start to slow down.
Right.
And then it was like,
which also happened on the MrBeast video.
And then they just sort of fall off, and you're like, oh. Most of them took like 20 seconds. You're like, you can't run 100 meters in 10 seconds, random high school kid. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, the confidence.
So you witnessed all of this? Like you overheard it and witnessed this whole scene?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. One time I was doing an interval. So I used to run on a golf course. It's like a undulating, chip trail on a golf course here in Victoria. And there was a gym class out there, and I had to, and it's kind of like a tight trail because it's, there's bushes and, Anyway, I had to overtake them, and it was kind of awkward. And I was like, excuse me, And then I heard the kids go, oh, that's okay. She can overtake us. She's an Ironman, because I had an Ironman shirt. Nice. It was so
and you
funny.
Were like, okay.
I was like, it was also okay if I was just overtaking you and not an Ironman, but whatever.
So anyway, I'm split on all these kind of like, it's kind of like we were talking a little while ago at the Battle of the Sexes too, with Aryna Sabalenka.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do we need all these things anymore? Like, I don't feel like we need the MrBeast,
right?
And the fashion shows and I'm like, I don't know.
Which kind of goes back to, and again, I do like what Athlos did because because when you're doing, because people often ask for that kind of content, like at the Olympics, like I just want to see a regular person, and it's not a gender thing. It's like, I want to just see like an average person do this. So that you have this context for how difficult it is, or how skilled these athletes really are. I think that's okay. I think once you make it gendered in an era where women's sports now have their own platforms, their own, like, it's not a thing that should be compared to men's sports, right? It's unto itself its own show.
This is me laughing. I was gonna email Iron Man and let them know.
I feel like I've said this before. I wonder when. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, obviously there's a temptation a lot of times, and not as much in this era of women's sports, but there's a temptation a lot of times to like sensationalize headline. It's the whole like, well, like if we put them in sexy outfits, then people will watch type of thing. And I think the world has moved away from that. Yeah. But it's still there sometimes where it's like, well, you should be grateful for any clicks, you should be grateful for any views, and you're like, that's the part that always is sort of like, we've moved past that.
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret needs Angel Reese more than she needs them.
Right. Excellent conclusion.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Pick of the week, Sarah?
Pick of the week. Okay. You want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to pick our new Canadian Masters marathon record holder. She ran in Chicago, Maria Zambrano. Sorry if I'm saying her name wrong. She ran, I believe, 2:49. She's 55-59 age group. Yeah. So, yay, Maria.
That's fast.
I love a good Masters record.
55-year-old. Yeah.
Although, when I see those times, this is a little closer to my world. When I see those times, I'm like, oh, yeah, I think just because of like the generation of women that are coming through and how many women have continued to stay active beyond college, I think that a lot of those records are going to
a lot of the Masters ones, for sure. Like kind of when we were at the Ironman World Championships, there was the 80-year-old who became the first 80-year-old, and obviously she's gone super viral. She's been everywhere now. But she was like, oh, I didn't get to play sports as a kid. I didn't even like start running till I was 48. I didn't learn how to swim till I was 49. You're like, oh, yeah, like that's amazing for her. Yeah. But then obviously there are going to be people who learned how to swim when they were 30, who are now 60, who will be 80.
Yes. So there's a different generation coming through. And so when I hear, okay, a 55-year-old running 2:49, I do think it's amazing, and I think I have a number of friends who in a few years are going to be able to run that.
Oh, well, you have to, you have to figure you also get slower as you age, Sarah.
Well, I know. I'm not saying, because my friends now can run it now. I'm saying they can now run like 2:42. So, and like, I mean, they still have to have the will. They still have to and the time,
and the desire, and the push.
There's a lot of other factors happening. Yeah. But yes. Oops.
This is like, because one of my favorite races is a handicapped race, and so you obviously get more time as you get older, and you always are like, oh, I get 2 minutes next year, I'm gonna win, and then you're like, oh, I just have to not slow down.
Right.
Yes. So, all right, my pick of the week is Jess Rowe and Miriam Payne. They became the first women's duo to row all the way across the Pacific Ocean. They went from Lima in Peru to Cairns in Australia. Took them 165 days. 5.5 months. And they are the first. Apparently, there's only been like 7 teams or individuals who have done this ever. And they're the first all women's. So they set obviously a new world record for unsupported in one go, like no stops along the way or anything. So they had to like bring all their food with them. They were like powering off solar power. They had to go out. It was. Obviously, they had a radio for emergencies, but yeah, it was pretty wild.
I'm in absolute awe of these people. Like, I would just spend the entire time out there being scared of, like, creatures.
I think you probably have to get over that by, like, day 7. You have, like, 160 more days to go.
I don't know. It would maybe, I don't know how long it would take me to get over. It would be a long time.
Yeah, I would be worried about the storms because that's
probably a more rational fear.
Probably more rational. Mm-hmm. So anyway, kudos to them. They also apparently were the youngest. So they not only set a record for like first ever women's, but they were also the youngest to do it, I believe. So it is impressive. Yay. All right, next week we're going to find a cricket expert who's going to explain cricket to us as we get ready for the final of the Cricket World Cup. And then we will be shifting to winter sports, and we'll have some winter sport athletes in the next few weeks coming on to talk to us.